you can see the fish rolling everywhere as soon as you get first light. So make a cast, nothing. And as soon as I cast, a noticeably larger, I didn't know how big, a noticeably larger fish rolled out of all these other ones. That was a good sized fish. Right? Quick recast, throw it back over there. Fish, big one, comes up and boom, just scuffs it. And Jason's like, that's a good fish. And he doesn't, he's very, quiet with compliments and stuff.
Right.
He's like, that's a good fish. And it's like fires, dude. I mean, there was a giant tarpon.
This is the Connected by Water podcast, fueled by Papa's Pilar Rum, who remind us never to be a spectator. And protected by Starbright, where it's always Starbright season. Special thanks to our sponsors, Seaward Systems, Polakai, Parchview, and Lingchini for their great support of our show. This episode was recorded in our Seaward Systems studio, located on the eastern edge of the Florida Everglades. So my whole family is from like the New York, New Jersey area.
Gotcha.
Right? And like my whole family, my mom grew up in Long Island, my brothers, they all lived in Jersey City, and my wife is from New Jersey. I was the only one born and raised down here. Gotcha. So I'm Florida native. And but that influence of them like being up there was like, I come from a very thick sports family. Like it was like a way of life, I grew up playing like sports year round. So in baseball, football, soccer. When I got to high school, I wrestled and played soccer and football and baseball. And when we weren't doing that, we were playing basketball in the street and, and fishing and surfing and just like, we were just nonstop. And that was the family I grew up in. And, but like, hockey was always like something that we were watching on TV, and, they would tell me the stories of, the Islanders and the Ranger days and like all the different things. So I grew up definitely like liking hockey. And then when we got the Panthers, I finally got my team in '93. So it was like, cool, so I've always been, a big hockey fan. I never played.
Gotcha.
And that was my brother and I talk about it all the time. It's like, man, we would have loved to play hockey. That would have been our sport. That would have been cool. So my son plays now, though.
Did you ever play? I never played hockey either. We used to play street hockey.
Yeah.
Ever play street hockey?
Yeah.
Or like either with or without rolling?
Yeah, we were playing the tennis courts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would just grab sticks and a ball and like with a tennis ball and just like go on the courts. Yeah, we used to do that all the time. But we used to do this thing like in my bedroom when I was young with my friends in the neighborhood. We used to paint golf balls with the different teams. Like New Jersey Devils would be like a red golf ball. I would paint like the little NJ on there and everything. And we used to play like mini six in there like all the time, like as we were little kids. But yeah, no, but I've always loved hockey. And my son, he grew up going and watched the Panthers, and he plays hockey now. He's 11.
Gotcha.
So he plays at the Ice Den.
That's good.
So yeah, we're talking about hockey. So couldn't anybody give like a formal shout out, like congrats to the Florida Panthers going back to back.
That's right.
So that was amazing and incredible, and I don't know, it's legendary. Yeah, it's huge. So I'm just excited. So we were up in like New York, New Jersey just now, and we watched Game 6 from there, which is kind of a bummer to like watch it from up there. But hey, a win is a win.
Right.
So life is on the up.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? Everything good?
Everything's good, man.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
Nice.
Everything's busy,
Yeah.
Everything's busy.
Nice.
Got a lot going on, but
cool.
But all good,
Nice. I'm going to pause real quick because before we get into you, I want to announce this week's Starbright Solutions Project Sea Safe Together, right?
Let's do it.
And this episode is going to celebrate Thomas Noor and his son Carson. So let me read what I got here. So Thomas is the captain and owner of Sea Leveler Charters in Merritt Island, Florida. So recently he and his son did a really good job of getting some of those pesky Mylar balloons out of the water. So we all know that those aren't good. So not only that, they continually fight the good fight in keeping our waterways clean and pristine. After all, that is the Starbright way. So, by the way, if you want to experience a great day of offshore fishing with an eco-minded captain, head on over to sealeveler.com. Tell Thomas that their friends at Connected by Water sent you. So congrats, Thomas and Carson, on being this episode's Starbright Project Sea Safe Dukers. So congratulations. All right, so Jack, we're good buddies. It's cool to have you back here. You're in our new place, right?
Yeah.
Our new Seaward System studio.
Yeah.
You like it?
I love it, man. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no,
I appreciate it.
Thanks for. I know you've been running around like crazy lately, so thanks for carving out the time for this.
Absolutely.
Right. So you used to be the marketing director at IGFA. That's when you were on before, and you are now editor-in-chief at Marlin Magazine. That's huge. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how's everything going with that?
It's going really well. You know, it was it's been about a year actually. It's almost July. Yeah, it's been about a year. So it was good. It's the past year has been a lot of fun and learned a lot. And obviously it was tough leaving IGFA. I'd been there for such a long time. I had a lot of good friends and still do over there. You know, it's a good organization. But very happy with the move and love what I'm doing at Marlin now. You know, it's a really cool place to work.
I mean, it's legendary.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, you are adding your name to a long list of very, very cool and important people.
No, absolutely.
Right?
Big shoes to fill.
Yeah. I mean, even recently, you know, guys like Dave Farrell and Charlie Levine and, and Sam White.
Andrew Cox.
Andrew, 100%. You know what I mean? So that's pretty good shoes to fill.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, and then just the brand itself, you know, I mean, I didn't come from a media necessarily, publishing background, you know, I'm not from, have a lot of experience in making magazines. Obviously I worked on the record book for, many years with Adrian over at the IGFA, but, so anyways, when the opportunity came up, quite frankly, I don't think if there was any other publication aside from Marlin, I don't think I would have considered it. But, Marlin being what it is, I had such reverence for it and still do, hold that brand pretty high. So anyways, that's, it's a lot of big shoes to fill and some responsibility that comes with it. So. But it's a lot of fun.
I can imagine. I mean, it's going to cool places all the time, and
this
is fun. You were talking about before.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta it's tough with being a family man and and having a job like that, going all over the place. I mean, it's cool to do the things and everything like that, but you want to be home, you want to be around and available. So I mean, there's a trade off to that.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's different than traveling before, before you had, wife and kids, when, every time was, just kind of a new adventure, and it still is. But, luckily my wife is awesome.
Yeah.
Similar to yours, I mean, I know your wife is a big part of what you do here and your journey. My wife's the same way. And she, traveled at IGFA, not necessarily to all these cool level of spots may have increased, but no, she's great. She in-laws and grandparents help come down and take care of the kids while I'm gone and stuff like that. So it's a big help. But yeah, I mean, I love to travel.
Yeah,
it's part of the job, but it also for me is I think it's very important just to grow as a person, just to get out there. And I was fortunate enough to travel when I was a young kid. My grandparents kind of instilled that in my brother and I, and I think it's helped, give you a good broad view of the world. And I want to do the same thing with my kids, as I got 6 and 2 right now.
Yeah.
So you get a little bit older.
When they're that age.
We got our passports, and it's funny. I got my 8-year-old's passport. We got it when she was 6 months old.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna travel, and just look, he doesn't even look. What does he do? It's that looks like an alien, But, so, anyways, yeah. But no, it's so far so good at Marlin, man. It's great. We're humming. A lot going on.
So the Marlin Magazine's just legendary. I always say it's the standard of fishing magazines, I guess you could call it. Where it really is. It's been around for such a long time, but it continues to evolve and it continues to grow. And I think that's, to me, like one of the cooler parts about it.
Right.
The operation that you guys are running with, with Natasha and everything like that. It's like continually evolving the look, the feel of the book, and being kind of on the forefront, because I think there's a conscious understanding in Marlin that you guys are the standard.
Right.
And that's a reputation that needs to be upheld like all the time. And I mean, you see it all the time in a lot of other magazines that are, I guess, legacy magazines, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term, where they don't grow, and it still looks like it did in the 80s. It's still the same format, still the same. Maybe they redesigned a couple of departments or something like that, but but Marlin continues to really be on the forefront. And to me, it's the most respected magazine out there.
Yeah, no, I obviously love to hear that, and I feel the same way. And I've only been there for a year, but that's our goal. I mean, it's, you got to hustle in print media, which Marlin isn't only. Obviously, we have the magazine and then the whole digital side as well, and then the tournaments and everything else that we're doing. But I feel like there's a certain level of pressure that comes with doing a print, and this is only coming from a year experience, you know. But you hear for so many years, "Oh, print's dead," and then you have this, this torch passed to you from Marlin Magazine, which Marlin sustained that big print die off, and it's sustained and grown, and so, but still, it's like it's almost like you have to prove. You gotta hustle extra hard to make sure that it retains that, because I feel like there's like a crosshairs almost with print, like where it could be. I want to say it's like the first to go, but if something slips up, people, there's other options, as far as where people can get their content. So, but no, I think we do a great job. Our design team, I don't know if you've ever met him, but Chris McGlinchey, give a shout out to him real quick. He doesn't get a lot of attention all the time, but he's working with him over the past year. He's kind of similar in what Adrian did with the record book and design and layout. Chris has done for years, and his father, I've learned, did it before him. And Chris he's the guy that makes it look so good. I just try to get him some stuff to put in there, but no, he does great.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book. I mean, I think so. Before I left my day job and opened up the studio about 13, 14 years ago now. Wow. I was a senior creative director for an in-house for $1 billion company in the music business, right? So we had a weekly magazine, we had a monthly magazine, every week. That it was just such an operation. So I understand what goes into building a book like that, and that's why when I look at Marlin Magazine, that's why I'm kind of in awe of it, because it is such an impressive rag. And when you say print is dead, I think print is dead for those that can't keep up.
For sure.
Because before, everything had to be in print. Now, not everything obviously has to be in print. You can go right to the website. So I think for the smaller things that can't keep up, just go to the internet. You know what I mean? But for the standard type of level issues that everyone's trying to keep up with that. Those magazines and those books are still a work of art. People want to still have their moment with those books. I mean, and other high-end magazines are like that as well.
Yeah.
And I think this is where that falls. You know what I mean? Marlin Magazine print's always going to be there.
Well, it's almost like this is like bounce back, right? It was this huge push for everything to go digital, right? And a lot of there's a lot of print that died off, but then it's I feel like I'm not alone in this, but there's still something about, you can read an article on your phone, and there's something that's very valuable about that, like immediate gratification. I want to learn something, I want to see it right now. Boom, you have it. But to me, maybe I'm old school, but I love holding something like this in my hand, or any other magazine. I just like it and look at it. I don't even necessarily read word for word everything, but just go through and look at pictures and then read an article that looks interesting. I look forward to receiving. I remember as a kid, you get certain magazines. And, I would always look forward to receiving those magazines in the mail.
Yeah.
And, I think there's something to that. It's like society kind of.
100%.
They bounce back and they're like, no, you know what? It actually is kind of cool to get something in print and read it,
Yeah. I know when my Marlin Magazine shows up in the mail, It's more special than like maybe getting an e-blast saying, hey, here's a new article, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you know what I mean? To me, it's more of a moment.
Absolutely.
You know, and you're talking to an artist who really looks at the world differently from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And art itself has been taking a hit from how like an artist can make a living and what they can produce and what they can do and how people see it, receive it.
Right.
We're in the past where it's like people might look at your art for a lot longer. But now in this whole social media swipe left generation, it's like, boom, if you can't catch people in the beginning and then it's tough.
Yeah.
You're actually seeing that affect the art market and how long, like in a lot of ways, when I create a piece of art, I'll spend a lot of time on one individual piece.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking for likes and looking for all these different things, there's some guys out there that are creating art that takes 5 minutes and it's fun and cute and campy and they're like, oh yeah, everyone's liking it because they're able to produce a lot of it,
right,
and get it out there, right? It's like quantity over quality, right, basically is what you're seeing a lot of in the art scene, especially in the fishing realm. You know what I mean? And
right.
I'm not trying to knock any other artists or anything out there, but it's not. It is what it is. You know what I mean? And for those artists that are actually sitting there putting in the time, it's tough because you can't pump out content as fast as a lot of these other guys are doing. So, but you got to question yourself at that point, like, well, is that art or is that just content creation?
Right.
Yeah, so I think there's a fine line.
Yeah, and I think there's always going to be an appetite for quality.
Right.
And, there's always, mass consumption, which, it's the world today. Everyone wants everything immediate and all of it now. And
yeah.
But at the same time, I think people that are in the know realize that good things, take time and, it's something that is more valuable, more than just getting a bunch of likes. And but it's important though. I get it, because it's kind of like that double-edged sword from a marketing standpoint. It's like,
right,
you kind of view social media as like a necessary evil, right? Like you have to do it, it's like whether you like it or you agree with it or disagree with it, whatever, you got to do it, but at the same time, I feel like people who are spending money on social media, they also realize too that, it is only one channel, right? There are definitely other channels that you can't throw all your marketing eggs in the social media basket, right, so to say, right?
And there's no touch point.
Yeah.
Either. Like, that's why you guys still got to do events. You can go out and like see people and everything like that. That's why we do this podcast in person.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've had opportunities, particularly during COVID, where people were like, oh, you should just do your podcast like, like a Zoom call. Like,
right.
I don't know what you call that, but like, and I'm like, no, we don't want it. And even John, I talked about that. It's just like more special, like having the conversation. Like, we wouldn't be having this conversation like we're having it if we were doing like a Zoom call.
Have like a little second lag.
Yeah, right.
Like talking over each other.
My whole thing too was like, especially during COVID, everyone was doing Zoom calls, and it was like people sick of Zoom. No one wanted to do Zoom calls anymore.
Right.
And so why would anyone want to watch your Zoom call? Right? I don't know. I didn't get it.
So we just have a normal phone call. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, man.
Yeah, right. Exactly. See, I like to prepare my room and like get dressed and like what's going on here.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, it is. So this show, to me, what's helped it survive over the years is the fact that we insist on doing it all in person.
Yeah.
And that speaks to the same thing with print. I think there's a parallel there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we want. We want hopefully the people that subscribe to Marlin that when they get it, they look forward to it, and they, that second week of the published month, they know it's coming. So,
Marlin Magazine, you write a lot of cool stuff in here. Obviously, you're featuring people. You recently featured our good buddy Carl Anderson, which I miss him. I haven't seen him since we left the gallery on the beach.
Yeah.
But hopefully we catch up with him soon. So that's in this issue. Right?
So no, Carl. That one we featured Carl as in an interview. It's close to like a year ago, right before I started. And we just reposted that on social media a few days ago.
I must have missed that. I missed that altogether. Then.
Well, we're doing some different stuff on social. So hopefully Marlin social media is getting a little bit more visibility these days because we're kind of changing some things up, which is why that post, which was about a year old, we reposted it in a different way and now got a lot of traffic.
Nice.
And
Carl's such a good guy.
Dude, I mean,
he's one of the best guys I've ever met in my life. Like, he's like, if you ever need like a cheerleader in your corner, like he's the one. Like, he'll be like massaging your back, like, go get him. Like,
Carl, I can't say enough enough good things about Carl, enough compliments. I mean, that guy even passed at IGFA when we were going to starting some of these tournaments that we did, and Carl and Skip. I'd ask those guys, beg them, okay, buy you guys lunch. Come on, I just need to pick your brain. So like, luckily they'd listen, and they go and have lunch. And Carl's been a huge help, and at Marlin he's a contributor. He's been a contributor for a decade plus probably. And so I luckily I still work with him on a regular basis, and usually I'm asking him more questions than he's asking me, in terms of stuff. So just a great resource, and a great dude, he's done so much, his experience is wild. You can start looking at it.
It could be so easily like passed up too, like just because he's such a lovable character, that you don't realize like the level of fishing that he's seen and been through. I mean, he's a Tommy Gifford to work with, and just that kind of guy. But he's just so humble and so kind, and it's like you don't think like a legend like that would act like that.
Well, the other thing I appreciate about Carl too, and this is like one of his, I think, good personality traits, is like he'll be the first to tell you too if you screw up, if you mess up, like, what are you doing, man? Like, if you bounce an idea off that's stupid, he'll be straight with you, and I appreciate.
But he does it in a way where he's, he's like hugging you, like
absolutely. But he doesn't BS. There's no bullshit. He tells you right, no, that's stupid.
For sure.
But no, Carl's awesome. Yeah.
Tell me about New Zealand. Like I when I saw you post up that pic, like I don't know whether like to be happy for you or be like completely jealous, because it's like one of those places, like obviously on the opposite side of the planet. That, I mean, how long did it take to get there, first of all? It's just like had to take forever. It's like one of those places where like most of us will never get to see.
Well, that's, I wouldn't say that, man, because it does take a while to get there. But the whole thing, all in all, first of all, the overall experience, I'll get into it, overall experience in New Zealand was incredible. I guess everyone says, you travel abroad, you see a lot of places. I mean, for me at least, I usually go and you enjoy your time, or, depending on the location, you come back and you have varying degrees of like, man, I'm happy to be back in the U.S., right? Like, it's either like, God, I'm so happy to be back, depending on the location. Or they're like, oh, that was a good trip. Could have stayed a little longer. Getting back from New Zealand, I was like, and this is really, I feel like, the only place I've ever traveled. I like the U.S. I like living here. That's the only place I think I've ever been that's been like, yeah, I think I could live there. Like,
really?
Yeah. And like not really be that much, I don't say that much different. It would be, it would be very similar, but I think there could be some potential benefits. It was a great place, man. I only saw a little bit. I was there for a week, so maybe it's not fair to say that, but it was a great trip.
I see that's the kind of place you'd like to spend like a month there at least, right?
I feel like, everyone's like, oh, you're supposed to spend long, but like, I didn't have the time. So it was like, do I go for a week? Or do I not go at all? I'm like, I'm going. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So anyways, I flew from Lauderdale to LA, and had some crazy long layover in LA, and then flew, it's like 5 hours, and then LA to Auckland was like 14.
Oh, so it's direct from there.
Yeah. So I mean,
that's not that bad.
It's not bad,
14 hours. So I thought that would be longer.
14. Yeah. No, it was 14.
Nice.
And I'll tell you, I mean, the price, it's, I was flying, I was on a work trip with Marlin, and so it's not like I'm flying first class or anything. It was like $1,800 round trip.
Okay.
And I flew, what was it? I flew Delta? I think I flew Delta. Yeah. It wasn't bad, man. I sat in like, main cabin. I got a window seat, tried to sleep. I didn't sleep at all. So
I can't sleep on a plane. Dude, I just talked to like the dude I sat next to on the plane when we got back from, like, we flew out of Newark, like, to here.
Yeah.
It was the funniest thing. Like, I sit down and this is a guy, maybe he might be like I don't know, 7 or 8 years older than me, right? He was just like sitting like in the aisle seat. He's like, do you know how to use the Wi-Fi? This is how you do it. You like said, I'm like, yeah, I know how to use Wi-Fi. Thanks, man. It's cool. But he's a nice guy, right? And he's like, oh, I apologize in advance if I'm going to snore. And I'm like, what? Yeah. And he's like, oh, yeah. He goes, I sleep on a plane. I said, cars and planes, you forget about it. I can never sleep on a car or a plane. Like, I don't know what it is. I just never can do it, right? Like, after the flight, I'll be totally tired and want to take a nap at home for sure. But, like, during the flight, no way. Sure enough, before we even were in the air, this dude was just like this.
I wish.
Mouth open, catching flies, out like a light. I'm
Dude,
like,
how
you
jealous are
kidding
you,
me?
you
Like,
know?
you weren't kidding. Like, this dude was like out like that.
I wish, man.
Yeah.
I wish I could.
Halfway through the flight, my son's like, Dad, I gotta pee. I felt so bad waking him up.
Yeah, it's like, hey, man,
cool.
sorry. Yeah, and that's like the pros and cons of the aisle seat, though. You know, it's like
Yeah.
the pros and cons. You know, a long flight, you know, you get to stretch out, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you get smoked by the beverage cart when it comes by you. You know, so I mean, I'll sit there and close my eyes, but like I know I'm not sleeping. You know, I'll close my eyes for a little bit and then whatever, just watch a lot of movies, do whatever.
God, we had to watch Game 4 on the plane on the way up to New Jersey. It was horrible. Like with the whole first period, like the DirecTV wasn't working. I'm like,
get over. Hey, reset,
fix it.
Reset. Yeah.
So New Zealand, sorry, get off track. Like, so what'd you do there? Like, what was the whole point of the trip?
So I got invited to go down there by Gary Carter, who's going to
Oh,
be
yeah.
inducted in the Hall of Fame this year. And he is, you know, light tackle world record extraordinaire. I've known him for years.
It's a legendary stud right there.
Man, I mean, and just a really interesting, cool guy too. And you know, he's like mid-70s. But man, the guy is in great shape. Gets around like, you know. I hope I can move that well when I'm 75. Right? You know, it's like whatever he is. But anyway, so he invited me to go down. He's like, hey, you know, I'm going to New Zealand. I'm fishing with John Batterton, who is also a legend. And you know, we're fishing on this new boat. Bluefix, you know, this is Rodeo 43 just built, which is, you know, Bluefix is it's a custom boat builder down in New Zealand, owned by this guy, Brad, and his wife, Charlotte Rowe, and really cool people, probably about our age, you know, I'd say probably late 30s, early 40s, something like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm guessing. I'm just throwing it here, you know, based on what I'm looking. Hey, you lost weight, you know, you're younger now, man.
You're looking, you know.
But anyway, so yeah, we went down there and he's got this boat and it's like, you may have heard of like GNS boats before, you know, where like super high performance in reverse and they're designed for this stuff.
Yeah, those are Marlin boats for sure.
You know, that's kind of what this Bluefix, the North Cape models that they have are kind of like that. So anyways, it was testing out this new boat. We're fishing with John Batterton, Tommy Gifford Award winner, Gary Carter, you know, Hall of Fame inductor. So he was going after, he's like, I'm going after records, and the guy's, you know, insane. So he's looking at after.
I have that much drive when I'm that age.
Like so deep dropping for swordfish, giant swordfish down there in New Zealand. So deep dropping like 2,000 feet with 8-pound test, you know, which is, you know, crazy in itself. And then we were looking for striped marlin records on fly tackle. So like 8-pound and 12-pound tippet, I want to say, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
So anyways, we were going after those and anyways, fishing with those guys. We met up with Guy and Aaron Jacobson, who are also some legends from down there. They're probably in this area of the world don't get enough recognition, in my opinion. But in New Zealand, these people have, I mean, set world records and I met them through IGFA when I was working at IGFA. My early days, you know, doing all the record processing and stuff, they would send their records in and they were just phenomenal. I mean, big billfish on light tackle, big tuna, you know, swordfish, the whole 9 yards. I mean, these people just outstanding records. And so John Batterton, who we were fishing with, used to run their boat, which was called the Hook and Bull, also a GNS. So anyways, it's all this, that all kind of ties together, right? So anyways, we went down there and we fished. We basically started in Opua, which is on the northeast side of the North Island, and in the Bay of Islands area, like legendary spot, you know, like where Zane Grey was, the whole 9 yards. And so we got on the boat there and we basically hopscotched our way up all the way to the North Cape, the northernmost point of the North Island is where we ended up. But we would like fish for a day and then come into a different port overnight there, fish for a day, come into our, you know, kind of work our way.
Oh, wow. You were really like island hopping.
Yeah. I mean, it was like we were all on the North Island. So we were at different places, but like, I think we were,
I guess,
Longaroa
on the island.
Yes, exactly. Up along. So we're like kind of like a sport fishing cruise. You know, it was awesome. You know, it was cool. And
that's incredible.
So we went to all these, like each place we stopped, there were these fishing clubs, you know, and these fishing clubs are wild over there. I mean, full bar, full meals, like right on the water. I mean, restaurants. I mean, the fishing clubs are the whole club scene. Fishing club scene in New Zealand,
like unreal. I was gonna ask that, like culturally speaking, the fishing there. I mean, because like
It's like nothing I've ever.
I looked it up once before, not for the show. It was like a year or two ago. 'Cause I was always curious, like how many people live in New Zealand, and it's only like 5 or 6 million people in total throughout the entire
Not that
land,
many.
right?
Yeah.
So, which is basically the equivalent of Dade and Broward County, and in the entire country of New Zealand, right? So, I was wondering, like, okay, and I know New Zealand is a very like eco-friendly type of culture, right? So I don't know what that means in other countries, but I've just heard that. Like, how extreme is it? Is it like, are they mean protesting, like kind of thing, or is everyone just abide by that mindset kind of thing? So I was always wondering, how is fishing accepted there? How is it looked at, and culturally speaking? So it's good to hear that there's all these fishing clubs like that. I mean,
from what I could tell, again, in my 1 week being there,
right?
It seemed like everyone just had a very healthy respect for the environment.
Yeah.
And treating the environment with respect, whether it's from harvesting a fish to not, littering, to, if you harvest a fish, treating it absolutely like extremely proper, like giving it the utmost care, not wasting anything. And I went there. You talk about like losing weight and stuff. I went there, and usually on trips, you travel, you're eating kind of junk food, and it's not the most conducive for eating clean. Man, we ate in we're at these fishing clubs sometimes for dinner. We were hosted at the Jacobson's house, and all the food was just now it's like the trend that everyone's talking about here. It's like eating whole natural foods.
Yeah.
Like there is like nothing processed over there. I mean, there is, right? Don't get me wrong. There's processed foods, but did not seem nearly as prevalent. So it just kind of ties into this whole, you ask about the nature. I think it's more than that. I feel like it's this, more of just like a respect for nature. And it's not like someone is pushing,
That's good to hear, because I think that's how it should be.
Right.
Like I don't know. I can't stand the whole militant mindset when it comes to it, because a lot of it is just following rhetoric, rather than just adopting a mindset, which I think is really, really important, in the grand scheme of really trying to accomplish the point of the mindset, you know what I mean? Anyway, so
yeah. But no, I mean, it definitely is cultural. Like, so for example, the first day we got there, we're checking out the boat. We just get down to the marina. I'm with Gary, Brad Rowe, who's like the owner of Blue Fix, right, and his wife Charlotte, and they're like, oh yeah, our son Charlie is going to be pulling up soon. And like he's on his boat. I'm like, oh, okay. And so this kid pulls up, and they have these boats called tinnies over there, right? There's like
tinnies.
Tinnies. They're like aluminum boats.
Okay.
They're like super lightweight, but they take them offshore. They're pretty badass boats, man, to be honest with you. Like
really
16 feet, maybe, like, I don't know, 15, 16 feet.
You know these, Sean? Yeah.
And Australia, New Zealand, they're pretty popular too. And dude, this kid comes whipping in with his buddy, and I don't know, maybe he's like 13, 14 years old, right? And he was just offshore. They caught like a big yellowtail, like, I call them kingfish, but it's like the yellowtail, like hamachi,
Yep.
Caught a big one of those. They're like,
those California yellowtails.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Caught a bunch of bait. And was giving us, like, it was out there all day, and I was just like, dude, this kid is like probably up to like my waist.
Yeah.
And was out there like, and had full control over the boat, knew exactly, like, it was a mind blowing. And it's like, you see that here some in the States, right? And
right.
Like, but it was just like, yeah, dude, just go. And like, he was out there and fishing with his buddy all day offshore, cruising around, and New Zealand can get pretty sporty, It's not like it's.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Some of the roughest. We fished the last 2 days of our trip over there.
Right.
It was rough. So, anyways, it was the fishing for us. The only bad side about it, the fishing was slow for us. We didn't end up catching any records. We saw one stripey, got skunked on the swords. But fishing with John, fishing with the mate, who is this guy, Brad Fergus, who was also a mate on the Hook and Bull. Dude, this guy also legend. Worked on the reef for like 10 plus years, just a badass dude. And so fishing with those guys, being with Gary, hanging with Guy and Aaron Jacobson, it was an awesome trip. I mean, they were just
that sounds incredible.
Yeah. And there's an article, I did an article. It's coming in the next July, August issue of Marlin. So this will be a nice little teaser for it. But
yeah, nice. Yeah, that's why I was bringing it up, because I didn't see anything around about it. I'm like,
now it's coming.
Do that story?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't, like I said, we didn't catch fish, but I knew that it's always a risk, right? When you go on these trips, like, oh, we're gonna go on this trip, you could always get skunked. You never know what's gonna happen. But
right.
You have these other factors, angles built into it. So you're like, we're coming out of there with.
You know what though? I mean, I've talked about this before, like with a lot of the captains that come on here, and and then we're fishing with George Gods, like we were talking about it all the time. It's like the actual catching of the fish is a very small part of the trip.
Oh yeah,
it's everything else that goes into it.
Right.
The people you're with, and the moments, and the prep, and the boat, and like this
prep is underestimated.
Yeah,
I think the prep is underestimated, especially if you're going on your own boat. I mean, I used to have my own boat. I don't have it anymore, but remember I had my old like 19-foot center console, dude, like when I was young and free and wild. And all
yeah, dude, for those days.
Shit. And dude, like I could not sleep, and like it didn't matter. It'd be years after owning the boat. Like if I take a day off or like going out on a Saturday, I'm gonna go fishing. The weather was right. I could go offshore on my boat. The prep was what I lived for almost.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I feel like it's an under overlooked aspect of the whole process.
Right.
At least for me,
No, it is. Like, I mean, I'm always drawing parallels with like fishing and art. You know what I mean? So I always like liken that to like prepping your studio and the whole process of that, and like just the cleaning of the brushes, and just like, being in the space, and, and the painting. Like the actual painting is still like a very small part of it. It's just like the whole vibe of being in your studio. It's the whole vibe of being on the boat.
Yeah.
The whole vibe of the prep, the whole vibe of like, the bait, and like the whole, everything that goes into it. That's just much part of it as everything else, as reeling in a fish. I mean, that's just the cherry on top.
Yep.
Absolutely. But also too, like you're down there, like you're going for records. That was the whole point of your trip. You know what I mean? You're catching a lot of fish, and it's not your record. You know what I mean? Then what's the point of the trip? Like, you're not there just to fish. You're there. You're targeting. Like you're with a guy like Gary Carter, like, and he's targeting records. You're going for one fish, right? And sometimes you got to put yourself in the environments where we may not be catching a lot of fish, but the big one might be there.
Yeah.
So there's a difference.
Exactly right. I think one of the things I use in the article is like, if you're gonna, it's like baseball. It's like you're swinging for home runs.
Yeah.
Strike out sometimes.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
That's exactly right.
So
that's exactly right.
But no, it's awesome. Yeah.
It never ceases to amaze me too that, we talk sometimes on the show about, if you can go anywhere in the world where there is meaningful fishing being done, and by that I mean whether it's looking for granders at a hot spot like Madeira, or if you're in a major tournament like a Costa Rica tournament, or even in tournaments like in Hawaii or whatever, or just like all around the globe, chances are you're going to find someone from Florida there. Right. And if you look at the global reach that Marlin Magazine has, and like a company like IGFA has, Billfish Foundation, just it's Florida, right? And I always get like almost like goosebumps or inspired, like, man, Florida just has such a global influence when it comes to the fishing industry. Right. And Marlin Magazine, no different. I mean, so you went to New Zealand, but you're covering basically the entire planet. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you
that's the idea.
Have your global tournament, right? That you guys are doing now, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And that's just another like way to illustrate that point, right? But like, where do you think some of the other more interesting places are that you guys are covering that you see kind of like, or that you're going to cover? Because I think it's kind of cool. You guys got the Hawaii series that you're kind of pushing right now, and based out of Florida, but you went to New Zealand, you're based out of Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Marlin Magazine has covered plenty of things in Australia over the years.
Yep.
Right. And obviously throughout Costa Rica and Panama and all the stuff like that. So, do you see yourself like maybe like exploiting more of those areas? So.
No, absolutely. That's a great question. And I think, Marlin was always kind of designed to be international in nature. It was started by a guy, Bill McClellan, and he's a Gulf Coast guy. And, I think it started with the concept of being, kind of domestic. Then it quickly grew into international, right? And so it's been international for a while. Coming into Marlin from the outside looking in and looking at the coverage and everything, I feel like is a long way of answering your question. But there are places I feel like that Marlin can do a better job of covering, given their influence and role in the big game fishing world. And some examples of those being the Oceania region, so like Australia, New Zealand, you know, culturally for the sport, I think those areas are very important. And Marlin has covered. I'm not trying to say we've never covered New Zealand or Australia, but if you look at, let's say, breakdown percentage of coverage, domestic, international, right? I would say it definitely wins domestic because the U.S., Central America, the Caribbean, that's like the hub of big game fishing. I mean, look at the tournament scene, the boats, everything that we have here. I mean, it's the best of the best of the best, right? That's your Los Sueños, Triple Crown. I mean, Bisbee's is all in that little realm. The Big Rock, which just happened, Skips tournaments. It's all in this little realm over here, right? In our area of the world. But, and this was why IGFA gave me great perspective on this, I was able to see and like you learn other areas of the world that have like this rich, deep sport fishing culture, like New Zealand, Australia, Japan.
Japan does too, yeah.
South Africa. I mean, there's certain...
Are they doing a lot of big game sport fishing in like the Philippines? Like, I don't think there's much being done there, is there?
There's my predecessor, Sam, covered like Myanmar, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Or Malaysia.
Yeah.
Some of that a little bit. I'm not super familiar with it.
Right.
I know there's fish.
Because I don't ever hear much about it. And I got like one of my best friends lives there too. I could probably just like call him up and ask him, but I know it's more like maybe like diving. He always talking about diving there. But
the only thing I know, like Malaysia and that whole area, kind of north of Australia, they get solid sailfish bite.
Okay.
From what I know, but as far as marlin, I don't know, to be honest with you. That'd be interesting to look at. I think it's kind of I don't think there's a lot of like last frontiers out there. I mean, in my opinion, right? I think there's some places that aren't fished because of like geopolitical reasons.
Yeah.
And
aren't there still like there's some dead zones in the ocean too? Still, aren't there?
Yeah, or places, but like as far as like spots, like oh man, like I think people have explored most of the spots, and whether they could be fished more and develop more, I think there's opportunities there.
Right.
And I think maybe that South Pacific area is kind of like that area, and that kind of bleeds over maybe a little bit.
You're right with the geopolitical thing, because some of those areas could be sketchy.
Yeah.
To go fishing. Was it Myatt was talking about how he went on a trip? I think it was with Carl, actually.
China.
Yeah, the China trip. He was telling me all about it.
Story.
Oh my God! Like he was telling me all about how it was just like. With having to get the government involved to go, and it was really just like all these sketchy stories that were going on. But it's like I can imagine, like, I mean, you're not going to fish like, Somalia. You could, like pirates could come by, like who knows? Like I don't know.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
No, I mean, I think
from Florida.
Yeah, I think there's some. I don't know. I say like at places like Ascension, but people are fish there. It's not as popular as like a Cabo or maybe Cape Verde, so to say. But
you're not going to get many people that are going to do, or I should say, as many people doing the mothership operation, right? Like Skip would do with the Madam and the Hooker, or like Bad Company's doing now.
That's what
you know what I mean. It's like
those guys are going to find.
Right?
I mean, if there's a spot,
you fished with them, right? The Bad Company.
I have. Yeah, I fished with them a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you're not going to get as many people, obviously, doing an operation like that. So when people go to fish, they're going to want like, okay, when we come in, I want the tiki bar, I want the hotel, I want like all these other things too. So
yeah, I don't know. I say that maybe there are some last frontiers. That's kind of like unromantic to say. I like to think that there are some last frontiers still out there. That's a little bit more appealing. Some places that are still maybe not yet discovered, but are still yet to be fished properly.
Right.
To their full potential.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I know when we had Mike Sheeter on, he was doing a lot of stuff in Madagascar, like catching swords and stuff through there, and that maybe that's not as explored as it could be. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
there's
room for that. Yeah, I think. But like, I think in these days, and a lot of people, some guys that like to fish, they have the resources. You could look up Google Earth and be like, that place really looks cool.
Right.
And unless there's like a war or some kind of crazy stuff going on, you can probably figure out a way to get there.
Right.
The right amount of resources and planning.
Yeah, for sure.
So
how is that Bad Company operation?
It's kind of.
I mean, is it everything that they say it is? I mean,
it's comparable, really. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain. I mean, super professional, but also very, it's surprisingly humble and casual. It was like almost like calm, just like a well-oiled machine. Well, I fished with them down in Mag Bay, so I fished with Anthony and the gang of California guys.
Anthony was there when you were there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And it was a trip when we caught like the record. I want to say we caught like 300 something in a day, and it was like 900 over 4 days.
Right.
Striped marlin we released, and it was just crazy.
I got to hear about how that operation ran.
Dude, I felt like I knew fishing pretty well, but it was completely different because we're all California guys. There was me and Kerry Chen were the only like East Coast guys on this trip, right? And so they're like, we get up there, we kind of knew what we were in for, but they all cast from the bow, right? So it's all live baits. They have a big live well on the fishing boat that you're on, right? And there was a 90, the James Goodall, whatever, one of their fleet, but it was a 90-footer that we were fishing off of. And so it was like, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 of us, you know, we all kind of get on the bow. We come up, Lasley would be on the bridge. You'd spot the fish, you know, with his binoculars and everything. We'd get up on them and they're like, all right, let's go. And you could see them. I mean, they're from 20, 30 yards away, you know, you can, from the elevated bow. And these guys, like, you're bass fishing, dude. Like, they have these you know, like we're a bass fishing with. They have like these open face conventional reels, long rods, and get their mackerel and they underhand toss, and they, as soon as one pitches, they step off to the side, and it was like everyone would go and they do that, step off to the side, and usually by the time, you know, you take 2 steps to the left, you were hooked up,
right?
Get tight, fight the fish for a few minutes, get the fish close, and then, you know,
grab the
leader, pop or cut, and then fish was gone, and then, you know, I had someone on the bridge with a clicker, so every time there would be release, and that was the mission. You went there with that goal in mind, that we were going to try to break this unofficial record. And I think they brought me on because I was with IGFA at the time,
right?
And they were doing everything was, you know, they had a little pre-briefing beforehand. We had dinner and, you know, everything the night before. They were like, all right, this is what we're doing, you know, these are the things that, you know, you can and can't do, and, you know, if you pass the rod, we're not going to count it as a release, stuff like that. So
no hook in hand, like
you know, I mean, there was some hook in hand, but like those were, you know, there were some fish that would like stretch out. You get a fish and or take off. So right. All right, this person's going to the back of the boat, and you know, they're kind of designated. They're going to fight the fish for a while and then release it. And but anyways, it was interesting. You know, it was fun, but just I would say equally as impressive as the fishing was just seeing the operation. You know, and
sure,
you know, talking with Anthony and, you know, just talking fishing with him. You know, and
he just seems like a really cool guy. I'd love to have him on the show.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's a great spokesman for the sport, if anything I can say. You know, I mean,
they just made a film, didn't they?
Yeah, they released the film, Grander, I believe, is what it's called, and really well done. I mean, look at all the footage that they have.
Yes,
it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, content king right there.
Absolutely. Sure. So I mean, you know, hats off to them. You know, that's all I got to say is like they're doing something that no one. That hasn't been done yet. I mean, there's been mothership operations, but the scale that they're operating on is just a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's cool what he's doing personally when you see him go to these different areas. He's going and, you know, he's meeting with the community. He's inviting people on the boat from local governments or local communities. And, like, you know, I think, not to go off on tangent, but I think some of the biggest thing that we can do as recreational anglers to protect the sport is, you know, money talks at the end of the day. So if we can do a better job as advocacy organizations to show how much money sport fishing can bring to locations, I think that's, don't get me wrong, the conservation work, the tagging, all that's very important, but, you know, money talks. So if you're going to governments, you're saying, listen, man, like, look at what we're bringing. Look what sport fishing is bringing to the table here. I think that's really where we can move the needle.
I mean, you recently covered too, like the whole the Shark Act, right? And I know you're covering it because it's a like a thing that passed through the House, and you know, I guess it's at the point now it's got to get approved by the Senate. Is that still the mode that it's in? I think.
You know, I probably am due to look at that. We published that like maybe like a month or two ago. I'm not sure if it's moved yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of looked it up and I'm like, I couldn't really find anything, so I can only assume. Like I don't, but
there seemed, if I remember correctly, it seemed like it was pretty like I want to say a slam dunk. Like it was going to go through pretty clear.
Yeah.
From the last I recall, when we reported, like it was no obstacles with passing through both House and Senate, but I don't know off the top of my head where it's at right now.
I mean, well, the reason I bring it up is like, yeah, you guys covered it.
Mhm.
Cool. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what we talk about, like with Marlin being an influence, you know, in the industry.
Right.
I think like you got to bring these things, just like you're covering like the Amendment 15 closure aspect that's going on with, was it South Carolina and like northern Florida kind of thing like that, with the reopening law lines with the decision. I guess that's actually going through, right?
Yeah.
With the
Yeah, it looks like it is, from what I understand, it's going through. And you know, I mean.
But you talk about economic impact, right? And I think that was the reason I was bringing it up. Like, with recreational angling, like the numbers are there.
No.
You know, and I think it's very important, you know, to listen to the recreational angler when these issues come up, especially with like the sharking thing. It's gotten so horrible over the years. And we've talked about it to death on this show going back, 5-6 years we started talking about this. Like, not to toot our own horn, but we started talking about this before anyone was talking about it. Like, we brought in Patrick Price, and God rest his soul, you know, and Art and Skip were talking about it forever, and then it just kind of like spiraled out. Now everyone's talking about it. Cool, good. Everyone should be talking about it. Right. But, you know, it's important, I think, to listen to the recreational angler, not only just from an economic standpoint and what the influence that can have, but also just from, you know, they're the ones out in the water, especially the captains that make a living on the water. Like, those are the guys you need to listen to.
No, dude,
you know what I mean?
I completely agree. I mean, I take that approach to what I do at Marlin.
Yeah.
You know, I think I write some of the stuff in there, but I mean, it has to come from the guys that are doing this. You know, I mean, I get to go out on the water, and I'm lucky enough to spend some time on the water and fish, and even on my own time, but I don't do it day to day. I'm spending a lot of time in front of a computer.
Yep. I paint them for a living, and I'm inside painting them all day. Yeah.
Those are the guys that, you know, need to be writing the magazine, or writing the articles in the magazine, and telling, informing policymakers about what's actually happening. 100%. You know, the guys that are doing it day in and day out. So no, I completely agree. But yeah, I mean, you know, one perfect example, you talk about the anglers kind of flexing their muscle, and recently, I mean, that big NOAA speed restriction is a great example of that.
Right.
You know, where NOAA proposed they were going to do that for the right whale, which, listen, I mean, no one wants to see the, you know, right whales go extinct, but at the same time, like, I mean, how many have died because of vessel strikes? It's like a minimal amount. Like, these things are like, you know, beaching themselves, and there is some, you know, obviously some human involved mortality involved in like some of these right whale deaths, but to shut down, or to like have those drastic speed restrictions would absolutely cripple not only, you know, it's just not only fishing, but you got to think about the whole sector of people out there, which is, you know, it's hard for us sometimes to think about this whole people out there that just like to go out on boats and not fish. You know, they just want to go boating and just go, you know, cruise. I mean, so think about all those people too. They don't, I mean, so, I mean, that I think was great. And you saw a coalition come together. You know, ASA does a great job. And you had ASA leading with, you know, from our angle, from the big game angle, you know, Viking was a huge player, and they flexed their muscle up there. And, you know, luckily they got it pushed over, but, you know, stuff like that I think is a great win. The Amendment 15 I think is something we need to be aware of and keep an eye on. I'm interested to see, honestly, you know, they're opening that up after so many years, that closure, just to kind of see what the impact was. Like, so like there's this closure that they did was kind of like, all right, we're going to see what this has. So, I mean, you know, you never want to see commercial fishing increase, right? Like, oh, that's never good. But in this case, yeah, I feel like you got to have a little bit of both sides when you come to this table. It's not always like commercial is bad, right? They do a lot.
I'm not anti-commercial, just so you know. We talk so much conservation on this show. We're all for it. I'm very environmentally conscious and eco-conscious and all that. And, you know, and we talk about, especially particularly with the Everglades, we talk about it all the time, right? But I also think that part of the big problem with the sharking is that they shut down all the shark longliners. Yeah. Right. And we're not talking about guys that are like fishing necessarily like in the fishing zones, and guys are a little bit more offshore and like in safer zones where, you know. Yeah. I just don't think that necessarily the thing to do, but
I have a selfish, I mean, like, you know, this is kind of off topic, but I've been complaining about this. I have a side enterprise I want to go into, like, secretly. And that's, you know, where I live out in like Wellington area, west of, you know, like 20 miles west of the coast, basically, Palm Beach area. Yeah, there's a couple good seafood markets I can go over there too, and you can get some quality food, like good local seafood.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I find it crazy that in Publix in Florida, like, and I love Publix, I'm a big Publix fan, but it's like, I want, like, can't we find some locally caught, like, Florida seafood? And that's the thing that always drives me crazy is like how, the
Chinese mahi.
The commercial seafood that's harvested in the U.S. by our guys in our waters is like most of it's not even staying here, from what I understand. A lot of it's going overseas, and I mean, I know there's financial reasons behind that, but that to me is, it's like, come on, man, like, I want to have some, like, why can't we, we live in Florida, it's like crazy, why are but now, the other crazy thing is you go to Publix and you can get salmon that is a product of Florida now. You've seen that. There's this aquaculture down in, I think it's in like Homestead. And they are farm raising, no joke, you can farm raising salmon in Florida, and you can go into Publix and it's Atlantic salmon, I believe, product of Florida.
Dude, don't get me started on Publix right now. I'm so mad at Publix right now. Like, the cost for a New York strip is just out of control.
Meat is crazy.
My God.
I'm going to start buying
you can get it cheaper other places.
Yeah.
For some reason, Publix feels like they need to charge more than everybody else.
Shopping's a pleasure.
Yeah, right.
But anyway,
Publix.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry. I guess they're not ever coming on.
Just want some local seafood, man. Yeah, that's all I want. Local, fresh, local.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, come on. There's got to be.
We just got to go fishing more. That's the plan. Go catch around.
What's the Fish Shack?
Yeah.
In Pompano Beach.
Yep.
It's all locally caught, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, I actually should give them a shout out for doing it, what I mean? Because it's all locally caught fish there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you can get, like, the snappers and your hogfish and everything like that. That's all the locally
Maybe that's just because I moved out to the swamp. There was some good, I used to live over here.
But no, we don't know.
There was good stuff,
all over the place, though. Yeah, you're right. You're all eating Chinese mahi whenever you go to, like, Capitol Grill.
Yeah. Exactly. But, I don't know. It's, maybe one of these days I'll open up a little Jack seafood stand out in Wellington.
You should.
Start peddling some seafood.
Catch them all yourself.
That's right. Little extra coin.
Yes, for sure. Tell me about this Hawaii series. I'm very interested to hear about that.
Talk about Marlin, man. I mentioned when I first came on here, just busy. I mean, it's a really cool place. It's constantly, since I've been here for the past year, it's like in full growth mode, right? So, I mean, we did the changes with the magazine as far as like all that stuff. But I mean, what I didn't realize about Marlin really fully before I started looking at working here, and everyone knows Marlin because of the magazine, right? At least that was me. I know the magazine. But Marlin runs now, I don't even know the actual number, but we're running a ton of different tournaments, man. I mean, like, we're doing the Hawaii Marlin Tournament Series, which we just got. We just acquired that from Jody Bright. We're doing the Bermuda Triple Crown, which is coming up like next month in a couple of days. Is kicking off, which is an incredible, 3-leg series.
Right.
Here we've got the Scrub Island Series, Fishing the North Drop. Really, from what I can tell, one of the more prominent tournaments or organized tournaments fishing the North Drop still. You got the Cabo Tournament. So now you got the Marlin Global Challenge, the year-round, catch the biggest marlin over 500 pounds, guaranteed jackpot, 100,000. So, I mean, it's all these things, the Marlin Global Challenge, the Hawaiian Series have all just been in the past 6 months. These are all things that are new. So I'm leaving tomorrow. I've never been to Hawaii. I'm flying out there tomorrow. For the Kona kickoff. So we're having a big party. Part of what Marlin's doing out there is a great tournament series that exists. Jody's done a great job over the years. We're just, we're bringing a little bit, some of the Marlin touch to it, we're going to have a bigger kickoff event with, more swag, the drinks, the food, and have a little bit more of that. We're going to bring a community vibe to it and have more people come. So I've been wanting to go to Hawaii for years, man. So
yeah, I'm
stoked to go out there and check it out. And
where in Hawaii? You're going to Kona?
Going to Kona. Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
So it's going to be a quick trip because I have to turn around. I'm going right back to Bermuda, just because I had to be there for the Triple Crown.
Right.
So a few days in Hawaii, maybe get out on the boat. Hopefully, be able to fish out there. That would be awesome. And then
get yourself a short bill.
I know.
Spearfish.
I mean, anything, that or a giant
balloon right there.
I know.
Yeah.
Something about Hawaii. I remember watching watching TV. It was always Hawaii. It was like Norm Isaacs had his TV show or something like that. And remember him being in Hawaii and just always big fish. And I was like, man, I always want to go to Hawaii. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get out
Big
there.
blues there.
I know. I know.
Big
That's
blues.
warm.
Bermuda too.
Bermuda. I know.
You kidding me? You're going to like 2 of the hottest spots on the planet for big blue marlin.
I know. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. It's always cool going to a place you've never been. And Bermuda, I was there last year. Bermuda's an awesome spot, man.
Yeah. I've never been there either.
I would highly recommend it. Everyone, it is. It's very nice. And they say it's expensive. It is a little bit expensive, but to be honest with you, man, you go out to dinner, it's no more expensive than going to dinner in Palm Beach or Miami or down to Fort Lauderdale or shopping at Publix for steaks. Exactly. It's not too bad. I would recommend it. It's pretty close too.
Yeah.
The thing that's crazy over there, and I know you like doing all sorts of stuff, like kind of like me. I love marlin fishing. That's kind of what I love to do and the big game stuff. But I just like fishing for whatever too, right? And so I'm going to try to do this when I'm over there, maybe one morning. They have, supposedly, there's hogfish. They got hog snapper on the flats that you can...
On the flats?
On the flats you can sight cast to. They're like, they'll tail.
Slow fly?
Dude, how cool would that be, right?
That would be great.
I heard about that when I was working at IGFA, and I looked at it again, and they have it, and I'm like, fuck, maybe I'll try that, man.
You should.
Get out one morning and try to catch a hogfish.
And then you can submit that to Zach.
That's right, Zach. There you go, man. Look at this one. Just give it the rubber stamp. It's all good.
Yeah. Wow, that'd be cool. How many tournaments are in the Hawaii series? Do you know?
There are, I believe there are currently 8.
8.
So they had one back in March, which is kind of like their unofficial start. But then this one, the Kona kickoff, is the start. And then it'll run through, I want to say the last one wraps up in September.
Okay.
And I mean,
is there a season there for it?
It's like now, but I mean, you have granders that are caught. I mean, there's been granders caught, I think probably every month of the year, I gotta say.
Wow.
I mean, I know there's, I honestly, I can't even say like I'm an expert in Kona. I've never been. So hopefully I'll be able to figure that out. But from what I can tell, it's pretty much a year-round kind of deal.
That's got to be the coolest part of the job for you. It's just like discovering and finding out all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, about all places, like all over the planet. Just like how, because everywhere is different.
It is.
You know what I mean? Like I remember my first time I went to Costa Rica and I saw for the Triple Crown, just saw the freaking numbers that they're putting up. I'm like, what are you talking about? This one boat caught 65 sailfish in a day. You know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, it's just the way they do it. And they back down on the fish and they just let them go. And it's just a numbers game. And it's like, I don't know, 10 wins a tournament here, like a 2-day tournament sometimes.
I know.
But
it's crazy.
Yeah, but it's just the way it is. And there's like this calm there all the time. And there's like hardly any sharks. Or it's like here, it's like, that's another thing with the sharking thing. Like that, if you want to talk about it, like I understand like what other people think with sharks going extinct in other parts of the planet.
Right.
That is not the problem in Florida. Sorry, not here. Yeah, not our issue at all.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's crazy. When I was growing up as a kid, I bass fish growing up.
Yeah.
I grew up outside of Orlando, and so I would bass fish growing up. And then when I got my driver's license, I'd drive over to like New Smyrna, Merritt Island area, and fish over there.
Yeah.
And the first big game fishing I ever did, if you want to call it that, was shark fishing, man. We used to shark fish from the beach. We'd get, go catch bait.
Smyrna's got all the sharks.
It was, so we would go and we'd paddle out on surfboards and like drop the bait, second trawl, the same deal.
For sure.
And then we eventually evolved. There may have been some, liquid courage.
Yeah.
Maybe some liquid courage involved in some of those trips. But dude, there's like almost every trip we would catch a fish.
Yeah.
I catch a shark, and black tips, or maybe not black tips, or duskies, whatever it may be, sandbar sharks. But I remember one time, for example, we were out there at night, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go swim a bait out. And I wasn't courageous enough, I guess. I wasn't lubed up enough to get out there all the way. So I walked out like just a couple hundred, maybe not a couple hundred, couple feet, and I was like paddling out. It was rough, and I was like, dude, I'm just dropping the bait here. I'm not doing this tonight. And I just threw it out with a weight, like literally you could throw like a tennis ball to where I was. And I was like, all right, I came back to my buddies, and we were sitting on the beach. I was like, this is the last one that we're going to go, right? And then it was like 5 minutes, and it just, line went off. And then it was like a, 6-7 foot shark that we caught. And it was like literally could just call it 20 feet from where the waves are, right out in the shore. So, I'm not saying that that's an over shark issue. It's just saying that growing up in Florida, you see a lot of sharks, but, it was it was always surprising to me, how easy. I mean, I don't think we ever, maybe once we never caught, we didn't catch a fish.
Right.
And this was 20 years ago, 25 years ago we were doing this. So I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you before I let you go,
Okay.
right, what we were asking everybody on the show. And by the way, don't let me forget, because I don't think when you were on the, did you ever sign the bar before?
Sign the bar?
I don't think so. See, I think when you were on the show previous, like the bar wasn't in the room at the time, and I don't think you did.
Remember?
I don't think you did. So don't leave without signing the bar.
Okay.
Right? But I have to ask you this. I'm asking everybody who comes on the show, what's your one that got away? Everybody's got one that just haunts them. I know I do. But like, what's your one that got away that you wish you could have back?
Oh man, that's a good question. One that got away.
Take your time.
It's
a meaningful answer. I can tell you mine.
Yeah,
right.
I'd be into
I actually said this once on the show before. Like maybe I don't know if people were wondering what mine was, that they didn't hear the episode. I told it to George Calverno. So there's this day when a buddy of mine from high school got his brand new boat, 24 Robalo bow rider, right? And he wants to go fishing, right? And he's got like little pen senators and everything like that. He's like, oh, I didn't realize this. Like, he's like, oh, we're going to go mahi fishing. And me and another buddy meet up at his house. I'm like, dude, it's kind of sporty out today. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, 4 to 6.
Right.
I mean, let them like, you sure you want to take this Robalo out there? You know what I mean? Like, no, let's go. Let's hit it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we'll go. I'm like, but don't be surprised if we're coming in early.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he's like, no, we're fishing. I got my boat. We're fishing. I said, okay, let's go. Right. So we go out and we just do a traditional little drop 2 lines back, rig ballyhoo. I put it like a little alien skirt, like on the one. Right. And we're just getting our asses kicked, like rolling around like a bobber. I'm like, I told my buddy Donnie, this is not going to last long at all. Right. Sure enough, 5 minutes that line's in the water. Starts singing. Right? And I'm like, God, I'm like, I got it. Sure enough, I hook up. And I'm like, oh, God. Huge mahi. Huge. And I'm like, oh, so fight the good fight. Thing is jumping. Both these guys are going crazy. Oh, I'm catching this huge mahi on my new boat. Like, the whole thing like that, right?
Right.
And fought him for like a good half an hour, right? And a lot of times you can bring the mahi up to surface, you're ready to gaff him, and he'll just take another run deep, right?
Right.
Well, that's what happened. It's like they were gonna gaff him, and I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, they had this like little gaff. I'm like, how are they gonna get this fish in the boat, right? So I brought him back up again, and I said, listen, like I'm gaffing the fish, right? I'm gonna hand the rod off to you. Like, I'm going to gaff the fish, and we're going to do the whole thing like that. And when I handed the rod off, I don't know if slack went there or anything like that, and the fish, it snapped. But I'm telling you, this mahi, I know everyone's got fish stories, was the biggest mahi I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. There was like college football that we were going to a party in the afternoon. We were going to bring out this fish to this party. We were like, yeah, look at the sweet cod. It was going to be like our big glory moment. And I just and if it wasn't like 4 to 6, I would have jumped in the water because it was just sitting there.
Right.
But I'm like, I'm not jumping in the water in these seas. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, that's the one that I wish I could add back. The thing was monster mahi.
There's nothing better than big dolphin, man. It just gets you fired up. But I mean, well, I gotta say, I'm relieved to say that was yours, one that got away, and because I didn't know how deep we were gonna go. I was thinking like missed opportunities in life, things that got away. But now we're gonna fishing. I can do fish. I got 2, real quick. One is I was back fishing a place you like back in the Everglades with Jason Strabweiser, IGFA. And known him for a long time, and it was back on his skiff, and we went out. It was summer morning, and this is probably 5 or 6 years ago, and we were going out with fly rods, and in certain areas he's been able to locate like just schools of like baby tarpon that are just super fun, like
Mhm.
micro tarpon, you know, they're like
Yep.
5-6 pounders, you know,
I
maybe
know
up
them
to
well.
10 pounders, you know, and you
Yeah.
catch them on top water.
Lots of fun.
Dude, it's a blast. So I think I had like a 6 weight or something. Anyway, so we get out there and it's just light, just starts, you know, yeah, you can barely see, but like you can hear, and you know, the glaze come alive. So you're hearing cop, 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 all these fish just slurping, dude. And it's like, okay, man. So you get barely light, and like, not even like, you can see the fish rolling everywhere as soon as you get first light. So make a cast, nothing. And as soon as I cast, you know, a noticeably larger, I didn't know how big, a noticeably larger fish rolled out of all these other ones. Oh, that was a good sized fish. Like, quick recast, throw it back over there. Fish, big one, comes up and boom, just scuffs it. And Jason's like, that's a good fish. And he doesn't, you know, he's not very, quiet with compliments and stuff. He's like, that's a good fish. And just like fires, dude. I mean, there was a giant tarpon. Didn't like, never jumped out of the water. Made one jump maybe.
Right.
And then just stayed down and just booked it, dude. And then I was in the backing in like, I don't know. It seemed like 2 seconds, but it was maybe 10 seconds. I was in the backing. So Jason had to fire up the motor, and we're kind of getting line back on this thing. So I'm fighting this thing, and he's like, that's a good fish. This guy, I know. As I'm fighting it, and it just, you know, goes on maybe 10 minutes, not super long. We're getting line back, fish is moving. The knob on the reel comes off. So I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, finally get this thing back on. And I'm like kind of like hand lining the fish at the same time, keeping tension on it. Finally get it closer and get it. And the knob falls off again. And at this point, the fish is probably like, I don't know, we're 10 feet, 15 feet from the leader.
Just a tough spot.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like hand lining this fish because I can't reel. And Jason was able to kind of touch the leader. Or I don't even know if he touched it. It may have gone through the tip of the fly rod, but then the fish surged and it popped off. But it was probably, I don't know. I hate to estimate. I never weighed a tarpon myself, so it's hard to say. But I don't know, maybe 80 to 90 pounds on like
a
pretty, like on pretty light gear. It was a lot of fun. And then
that's great. That's great though. I mean, it's still kind of a catch. I mean, you brought that all the way to the boat. Like, that's always a real tough spot with the tarpon, like right at the boat.
Yeah,
because a lot of times you don't know if they're going to give that one jump.
Good to put my hands
You're
on it.
Maybe not ready to bow. You know, it would have been good to get your hands.
I feel like that. I'm more of a when it comes to releases, whether it's tarpon or anything else. Like, you get your hand on the fish. That's more.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, that's a release.
In the net is in the net.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta touch it. That's just me. But
for sure.
But anyways, anyway, yeah, I got
caught him well.
Yeah, that was good. And I'm not a fly fisherman, dude. So for me, that was like, oh, look at me, I could do it. But you know, I'm novice at best with the fly rods.
Yeah, you always want to get a 90-pound tarpon. I'm going to give it 90. Like you said 80. I'll say
round up. We're round up for sure.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to keep you any longer because I know you got a lot to do.
No worries.
You're going to Hawaii, and you got a lot of things to get done today. So thanks for coming and carving out the time and hanging out. It's good to see you.
Always, dude. I
haven't seen you since the
boat shows or something.
The banquet or the gala, right, or something like that. I'm sure already seeing you. I should be seeing you in a couple months then too. So
it'll be here soon.
Maybe we can get together with Adrian and talk him into taking us fishing.
I know, he's the man.
Yeah,
we need to do that.
Yeah,
we'll catch some fish then if he's there.
Yeah, exactly.
So at least he will.
Exactly. Yeah, he'll catch fish and just like, no, they were right there. You don't see them.
Then we can hold him while he takes pictures of it. We can pretend like it's ours.
I was fishing with Adrian. Was like 2 months ago. Me and Bouncer and Adrian. Right, we were fishing up in Merritt Island.
What a
crew!
Starbright
event, yeah. And like just the whole time, it's like no one's catching fish because up there it's like you really need live bait.
Yeah,
right. You really to catch like the big snook. They're not going to hit you. They're so pressured up there. They're not going to hit your swim bait or anything like that.
Yeah,
or even your gulp. But Adrian was like catching like a little snook, and then Bouncer and I were like, we're not catching any fish. And then I caught a little trout or whatever like that. And we went to this one spot, and then Adrian's like, yeah, just cast at that. This is his home water. He lives up there. He's like, just cast at that pylon and just bounce it off the bottom. And both Bouncer and I are like doing it.
Yeah.
Nothing. You know what I mean? And then Adrian decides to like pick up a rod and like 3 casts. He catches like a huge sheep that was huge.
Dude, story of my life. If you're
A black drum wasn't a shoot, so one of the catches a huge black drum.
Just travel the world with Adrian
Yeah.
Gray at IGFA, and I'll always be holding his fish while he was taking pictures. It's like he's unreal, dude.
Yeah. Class A fisherman for sure. So,
Absolutely,
all right,
dude.
Jack.
Thanks, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you
what
very
you're
much,
doing.
man.
You guys are doing awesome stuff here. So thanks for having me on. I
Back
really
on the
appreciate
horse. Yeah, man. So get things done in Hawaii.
Will do, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
We're going to end this like we always do. Your ego is not your amigo. Always do your best. At the end of the day, just let God do the rest. And do not ever forget that no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we are all connected by water.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We're out.